Imagine, you're standing on the edge of an abandoned city, where streets are empty and the wind whispers names of the dead. One step, and time folds into a loop, forcing you to relive horrors over and over. What if the shadows of this place know your secrets? Listen closely. This is the story of Shadows of the Forgotten City, where every cycle brings you closer to madness. It all began on a rainy autumn evening in 2024, when four friends, Alex, Leah, Mark, and Sophia, decided to explore the abandoned town of Greystone in the Colorado mountains. Greystone was a legend. Founded in the 19th century as a mining settlement, it emptied in the 1920s after a mysterious catastrophe. They said the mine collapsed, burying hundreds, but no bodies were ever found. Locals avoided it, whispering about shadows that steal time. The friends, urban exploration enthusiasts, laughed off the superstitions. "This'll be epic for our blog," exclaimed Alex, a 25-year-old vlogger with a camera in hand. Leah, his girlfriend and a history buff, added, "I've read about anomalies there. Compasses go crazy, but it's just magnetic fields from the mines." Mark, the skeptic engineer, snorted, "Nonsense. We'll find only rust and graffiti." Sophia, the quiet but intuitive one, felt a chill. What if the legends are true? Shadows repeating the past. They ignored her, loaded backpacks with flashlights, food, and a drone, and set off. The group had their own hidden tensions. Alex and Leah recently quarreled over his obsession with fame. Mark harbored resentment from a failed business venture with Alex. And Sophia, recovering from a recent breakup, sought distraction in the adventure. The road wound through dense forest, fog thickening as if nature was warning them. Rain pelted the windshield, and the GPS glitched, leading them in circles before finally directing them to the overgrown entrance. "See, even tech knows this place is weird," joked Sophia, but her laugh was forced. When they emerged onto Greystone's main street, the sun was setting, painting the ruins blood red. Buildings stood untouched by time, a saloon with a tilted sign creaking in the wind, a church with shattered stained glass that caught the dying light like fractured jewels, a mine entrance gaping like a maw, surrounded by rusted carts and forgotten tools. "Cool," said Alex, launching the drone for aerial shots. But the drone lifted and froze, hovering in midair before crashing into a nearby building with a metallic thud. "Battery?" wondered Mark, checking the device. No, it was fully charged, but the screen showed distorted footage, shadows moving where none should be. "Probably interference," muttered Mark, though his voice wavered. They shrugged it off and set up camp in the old saloon, kindling a fire in the dusty fireplace. Night fell quickly, bringing an oppressive silence. No crickets, no wind, just the occasional drip of rain through the leaky roof. Leah pulled out an old map she'd printed from online archives. This was the Echo Mine. In 1927, 200 miners vanished overnight. No bodies, just echoes of screams reported by rescuers who fled in terror. Mark laughed dismissively. "Folklore for tourists. Probably a gas leak or something rational." But Sophia whispered, "Listen. Echoes." At first, they thought it was the wind howling through cracks, but the sounds grew, distant voices repeating phrases. "Help, the shadows are coming." The words echoed faintly, like a broken record skipping. Alex grabbed his camera, excitement overriding caution. "This is gold for the video. Let's check it out." They stepped outside, flashlights cutting through the dark, rain slicking the cobblestones. The building's shadows seemed longer than they should be, and moving, not from their lights, but independently, sliding along walls, forming silhouettes of people, miners with picks, women in old dresses, children playing. Leah froze, her breath catching. This is impossible. It's like the shadows are alive. Mark, trying to rationalize, stepped closer to examine one, and a shadow touched him, its inky tendril brushing his arm. Suddenly, he screamed, clutching his head. I see, collapse, screams. The walls are closing in. He fell to his knees, muttering about pain he hadn't experienced. Crushing weight, suffocating darkness. The friends dragged him back inside, hearts racing. But as they crossed the saloon threshold, the loop began. Time seemed to rewind. The rain stopped, the fire crackled anew, and they were back at the campfire, but with vivid memories of what had just happened. What the? We've done this before, whispered Alex, his heart pounding with a mix of fear and disbelief. Emotions surged. Sophia's panic bubbled up as she paced. I told you, we're trapped. Mark's denial cracked, his face pale as he rubbed his arm where the shadow had touched. Leah's curiosity warred with terror, her mind racing to explain it. They didn't know this was just the start. The loop was pulling them in, forcing them to relive horrors again, revealing the city's secrets layer by layer. In the first full loop, they tried to escape, bolting down the main street. But every time they reached the forest edge, the world blurred and they snapped back to the fire. This is a trap, shouted Leah, adrenaline pulsing through her veins, her hands shaking as she clutched the map. Mark, furious, smashed a chair against the wall. Who's doing this to us? Show yourself! Sophia, trembling, added, The shadows. They want us to feel their pain. Listen to the whispers. They're getting louder. As the loop repeated, small details changed. The voices grew clearer, naming the miners. John, Eliza, help us. And the friends began noticing personal echoes. Alex swore he heard his late father's voice in the mix, a man who died in a mining accident years ago, adding a layer of guilt to his fear. This can't be coincidence, he muttered, his excitement turning to dread. The first loop was short, but terrifying, resetting just as they thought they were free. The friends decided to leave, but every time they reached the city's edge, time reset. They woke up at the fire, with memories of the previous cycle stacking like layers of a nightmare. This is like Groundhog Day, but in hell, joked Alex, but his voice shook with forced humor, masking the growing panic. In each loop, the shadows grew bolder. They formed figures of miners, repeating their final moments before the catastrophe, picks swinging, then screams as invisible walls crushed them. In one particularly harrowing loop, Mark, driven by a mix of curiosity and frustration, entered the mine alone, ignoring the group's pleas. I need to see what's causing this, he shouted, his engineering mind Leah, trying to stay analytical amid the chaos, found an old newspaper in the saloon during another loop. Collapse in Greystone, 200 missing. Survivors speak of shadows stealing time, claiming days repeated before the end. She theorized aloud, her voice steady but edged with fear. The city is in a loop to preserve the memory of the tragedy. The shadows are echoes of souls seeking justice, trapping us to make us witnesses. Sophia nodded, her intuition confirmed. They want us to relive their pain, to understand and perhaps atone. But Mark, still reeling, shouted angrily, "I don't want to understand. I want out. This place is driving me mad." Tension built relentlessly. In the next loop, shadows attacked more aggressively. They pulled Sophia into a wall, where she experienced a loop within a loop, days trapped in the mine as a miner's wife, enduring hunger, fear of the dark, and the crushing loss of her husband in the collapse. Alex, the group leader, broke down in one extended loop. "We won't escape. This is an eternal prison, and it's my fault for dragging us here." He sat on the ground, tears streaming down his face, recalling how in the previous cycle he saw visions of his friends' deaths. Sophia swallowed by shadows, Mark crushed in the mine. The guilt hit hard, tying back to his father's mining accident, which he blamed on himself for not being there. Leah hugged him fiercely. "We'll find a way. Together. Don't give up." Their bond strengthened amid the terror, but the loops accelerated, each shorter and more intense, with greater horror. Visions became deeply personal. Alex relived his father's death in vivid detail. Mark saw his betrayal of a colleague leading to ruin. Sophia confronted her ex's abandonment. "This isn't just a loop," whispered Leah, her mind racing. "It's a mirror of our souls, forcing us to face what we've buried." In the climax of these loops, shadows began merging with the friends, forcing them to live others' lives fully. Mark became a miner, feeling the collapse crush his body. Sophia, a widow, mourning endlessly. Tension peaked. They screamed, fighting the illusions, hearts pounding in unison as the boundaries between past and present blurred. A new twist emerged. In one loop, Mark discovered a hidden journal in the church, revealing that the mine owner was Alex's great-grandfather, tying their group directly to the curse. "This is why we're here," he yelled, betrayal flashing in his eyes toward Alex. The revelation sparked conflict. Alex denied it at first, but the shadows confirmed, amplifying the group's internal tensions. The loops evolved further. Now shadows interacted directly, demanding truth in exchange for clues. In one grueling loop, they locked the friends in the mine, where the air grew heavy with dust and echoes of screams resounded like a chorus of the damned. Mark, panicking and claustrophobic, confessed first. "I'm guilty of an accident at work. I hid my mistake, and someone got hurt badly because of it. I've carried that shame for years." The shadows retreated slightly, the loop resetting, but with a tangible relief. Confession weakened the grip, allowing a brief moment of clarity before the next cycle. Leah realized the pattern, her historian's mind piecing it together. The shadows want catharsis, our secrets, like theirs. We need to let go of guilt to break free. Sophia, drawing strength from the group, shared next. "I betrayed a close friend in school out of jealousy. I've regretted it all my life, and it's why I push people away." Her voice cracked, tears flowing as the shadows hummed in response, almost sympathetically. Alex, broken by the revelations and the weight of his ancestry, confessed last. "I wasn't there for my family when they needed me most. My selfishness cost me everything, just like the mine owner." Each confession weakened the loop further, but the shadows revealed more in return. The mine owner, Alex's great-grandfather, had indeed caused the collapse for gold, dooming the souls to an eternal loop to punish his lineage. "Your sins echo in ours," whispered the shadows, their voices a chilling chorus. Tension reached a boiling point in a loop where shadows materialized as full-fledged monsters. distorted figures with eyes of pitch-black darkness, claws formed from inky tendrils. They chased the group through the twisting streets, whispering personal accusations that cut deep. Traitor. Selfish. Guilty. The friends ran, hearts pounding, slipping on wet cobblestones. But the loop reset midway. Emotions boiled over. Despair from the endless repetitions turned to raw anger at the shadows, but also a growing empathy. They suffered like us, trapped in their own guilt, said Leah, her voice breaking from exhaustion, sweat mixing with tears as she helped Sophia up after a fall. Mark, furious from the betrayal revelation, confronted Alex mid-chase. "This is your family's fault. You brought us into your curse." The argument nearly split the group, adding internal conflict to the external terror. In the next loop, they found the center, the old town hall, where shadows gathered in a swirling vortex of darkness. "Release us," cried the souls, their voices a cacophony of pain. The friends, uniting despite fractures, recited a ritual pieced from visions and the journal. "We acknowledge your pain. We release the guilt, ours and yours." The vortex exploded in blinding light, the loop breaking with a deafening crack. But before that, shadows revealed a shocking twist. One of the friends, Sophia, had a hidden connection too. Her ancestor was a whistleblower who tried to stop the owner, but failed, dooming her to share the curse. "You were meant to end it," the shadows revealed, turning her empathy into a key. Emotions flooded. Relief from freedom mixed with betrayal's sting, sadness for the souls, and the friends' bond, forged in fire but scarred. They escaped, stumbling out of the dissolving city, but with psychological wounds, the loop had forced them to confront not just the past, but their own demons. The loop's break brought utter chaos. The city shook violently. Buildings crumbled in hallucinatory visions. Shadows erupted like a storm of darkness, showing final, harrowing secrets. The mine owner, Alex's great-grandfather, had deliberately caused the collapse for a vein of gold, sacrificing lives for wealth and cursing the town in his dying breath to trap souls and descendants alike. The friends lived through the climax in a frenzy. Sophia nearly drowned in a writhing mass of shadow tendrils that pulled her under, reliving her ancestors' failure. Mark fought a monstrous embodiment of his guilt, its claws raking at his mind as he screamed confessions. Leah solved the final code from fragmented visions. Forgiveness breaks chains while dodging collapsing debris. Alex, desperate and in the final, mind-bending twist, the loop wasn't merely a curse, but a deliberate construct by the souls to find peace through the living's empathy, amplified by the ancestors' connections. As the friends forgave themselves and the shadows, Alex admitting his family's legacy, Sophia embracing her ancestors' bravery, the city dissolved in a whirlwind of fog and light, the shadows fading with grateful whispers. But not without a cost. In the chaos, Mark was briefly pulled into the vortex, emerging changed, his eyes haunted, as if a piece of the shadows lingered in him. They stumbled out to the forest's edge as dawn broke, the city vanishing like a mirage. Emotions overwhelmed them. Profound relief from escape, mingled with lingering sadness for the trapped souls, and a strengthened bond among the friends, now unbreakable after shared trauma, yet in a chilling aftershock. And so, The shadows of the forgotten city departed, but questions remain. Was the loop real or a product of collective guilt? If you find an abandoned city, listen to the shadows. They might tell your story. Thanks for listening. Share your thoughts. Subscribe for more mysticism. Until the next loops.